Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam, everyone. Welcome to Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji. How are you doing?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I'm doing fine. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for joining us. Today we are very happy to have the association of His Grace Madhava Charan Prabhuji. He will be sharing Bhagavata from 4th Canto, 29th chapter, verse number 69. The chapter is titled Talks Between King Prachina Barhi and Narada Muni. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji, please start.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurun Militam Mena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. First of all, I'd like to take the blessings of all the assembled Vaishnavas, and also thank you for giving this opportunity. Thank you for to Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya team and His Grace Narari Chaitanya Prabhuji and other senior Vaishnavas. My humble obeisances to everyone. Hare Krishna. So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, 29th chapter, 69th verse. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sattvaika Nishte Manasi Bhagavat Parshvavartini Tamas Chandrama Shivedam Uparajya Vabhasate. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Krishna consciousness means constantly associating with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in such a mental state that the devotee can observe the cosmic manifestation exactly as the Supreme Personality of Godhead does. Such observation is not always possible, but it becomes manifest exactly like the dark planet known as Rahu, which is observed in the presence of the full moon. Purport: it has been explained in the previous verse that all desires on the mental platform become visible one after another. Sometimes, however, by the supreme will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the whole stockpile can be visible all at one time. In Brahma Samhita 5.54, it is said, karmani nirdahati kintu cha bhakti bhajam. So when a person is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness, his stockpile of material desires is minimized. Indeed, the desires no longer fructify in the form of gross bodies. Instead, the stockpile of desires becomes visible on the mental platform by the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So further purport we can see during the class. Hare Krishna. So this chapter is entitled Talks between Narada and King Prachina Barhi. So this chapter actually Narada Muni is now particularly explaining how by the grace of Lord, something which is ordinarily not possible to perceive, especially specifically he's talking about all the material desires that are there in one's mind, however small it might be. uh, Actually, ordinarily they are not visible, but they are made visible by the mercy of the Lord at one stroke. Mm. So the on the mental platform, all the desires one can see. Mm. So we have seen in the earlier verses also, so like sometimes what happens, some of the material desires, they may manifest in our mind. And sometimes what happens, they may be visible in the dream. So, or sometimes the combination also might happen or take place. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said, Yamyam vapi smaran bhavam tajantante kalevaram tam tam evaiti kaunteya sada tadbhava bhavita. So, according to the particular bhava one is having at the time of death, uh, according to that, one gets the next body. So it's also said, no, at the time of death, a sinful person, he can see in the subtle form all the sinful activities he has done in that particular life. And also he might also get the indication that what will be his next body. So that is about to come in the future life. So sometimes as we are reading here in, it is mentioned in the you know here Srila Prabhupada is mentioning the entire stockpile of material desires may manifest. So actually this, when we are considering about the devotee, particularly Krishna conscious person, generally what happens, his desires, sometimes they are in the dormant stage, and at the particular time of death, maybe his all of his material desires are not completely fulfilled. So generally, technically speaking, what happens if there are still some material desires that are left, then generally he has to take next another material body. So if to, in order to fulfill the the desires that are left, but since the Krishna conscious person, he has practiced this bhakti throughout his life, and Krishna doesn't want him to get another material body. So what happens in this particular verse, it is mentioned, by the mercy of Lord, whatever the desires that are there dormant, in dormant stage, uh, so that may come into the mind, and in that way those desires will be fulfilled in the sense that the Krishna conscious person doesn't have to take another birth. So this is clearly mentioned here, uh, that sometimes we are the expressing whatever, sometimes if the material desires are left at the point of death, then generally, one has to take next material body. But here Srila Prabhupada is clearly mentioning in the purport in Brahma Samhita 5.54, it says Karmani Nirdahati Kintucha Bhakti Bhajam. Nirdahati means it is burnt, completely burnt. So actually the process of bhakti is very uh, powerful, that it burns the all the material desires. If it is practiced with the intention, intensity, and intensely, if it is practiced, all the material desires that are there within the heart, that will be completely burnt off. Nirdahati. Karmani nirdahati. Kintucha bhakti bhajam. So, but sometimes if one is not intensely practicing the bhakti process, then maybe there, there will be some material desires that are left. So actually, this, if the material, these whatever desires that are left, that should be the cause of next material body. That is very, as per the nature's law, it is like that. But here in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is telling Krishna consciousness is, since the person is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness, absorption is mentioned. So his stockpile of material desires is minimized. So that is the mercy, kripa of the Lord, mercy of the Lord, that this is fulfilled in a dream, because if that karma has to get exhausted, let it get exhausted in the dream state, so that one has one doesn't have to undergo the another material body, and he goes back to Godhead, to Goloka Vrindavana Dham or Vaikuntha Dham. So actually, it is to give one simple example. It's like, one student has studied very sincerely for the exam, and he has sincerely written the exam also, but somehow or other he could score only 30 marks, whereas the pass mark is 35. So the examiner, he understands the situation, and he is giving 5 grace marks, and just he passes that student, and that student is sent to the next class. So it's like a promoting. So, but if the same student, he has not at all written any exam, or he has written exam in such a way he is getting only 2 marks or 5 marks, definitely the examiner will not give 30 grace marks, so that he will not give. So the whole point here is that it is by the some favor of the examiner that the student is passing. So similarly, in the spiritual path also, sometimes we get we may be feeling some frustrations, or thinking my material desires are not at all going, how it is continuously coming back, and it is tormenting me, it is harassing me, even though I try to completely overcome it, and sometimes I think that I have overcome the material desires, and after sometimes the material desires comes back and it harasses us, it never leaves us. So in this way we appear to see that we are not able to overcome some of the material desires. So but if we are sincere, and if we are struggling hard to advance in this path of pure devotional service, then the Lord can be merciful, and he may finish all the material desires on the mental platform, and this does finish all the material reactions. So in this regard, we have to understand that everything depends on the desire. So desires actually are everything. Our future destination, everything depends on our desire. So in fact, the desires are the basis of entire material creation also. In the 15th chapter, Krishna clearly says that Urdhva Moolam Adashakam Ashwattam Prahur Ahyayam Chandamsi Yasya Parnani Yastam Vedana Vedavit. So there is a imperishable tree whose roots are upward. That banyan tree's roots are upward, and the branches are down. So actually, specifically, Krishna is explaining about the material world is the perverted reflection of the spiritual world. So it is like there is a bank of river, and there is a tree on the bank, and that tree's reflection in on the river, it is falling upside down. Then one may get the question, okay, we understood, the real tree is the spiritual world, and the upside down tree, perverted tree, it's a material world, it represents material world. Then one may ask the question that then what is the reflecting surface? So it is said that the answer is the reflecting surfaces are desires. So then another question may come. So now desire, we understood desire is the reflecting surface. Then the question comes, whose desire it is? Whether it is Krishna's desire or it is living entity's desire. So answer is, it is both. So because living entity has some illicit desires to enjoy independent of Krishna, which cannot be fulfilled in the spiritual world, there is a need to have a playground where the living entities can fulfill their illicit desires, some kind of enacting the so-called fantasies. So there is a requirement of the material world. So the material world, we can say, is nothing but the sum total of all illicit desires of all living entities that are there in material world. That is all this material world about. So then how we can ask how it is the material world, the surface, reflecting surface is the desire of the Supreme Lord also, because there is some internal purpose that is behind this. Actually, the Supreme Lord also, he is fulfilling some of his desires which cannot be fulfilled in the spiritual world. For example, killing of asuras, like some of the Nimittika pastimes, or it is called occasional pastimes, which are not done in the spiritual world, because there are no asuras in the spiritual world. So nature of the spiritual world, it is full of love, and therefore some of the pastimes can be had, like these Nemitika pastimes, like killing of the asuras, that can be had only in the material world. So to fulfill the Lord's such desires also, this material world is created. And another point we have to understand here. So now we understood that how the desires is the reflecting surface, and the desires both are from living entities and the Supreme Lord. But living entities, their desires are more a type of illicit desires, and whereas the Lord's desires are always spiritual. And everything has a seed. We perform some actions, and every action has a equal and opposite reactions. So and whenever we perform some actions, behind the action there is some plan. So we conceptualize, this our action based on these plans. So similarly, our body also has one seed. There are two seeds behind our gross body. So one seed is grossly given by the father. That is one seed given by the father. And there is a subtle seed because of which we have got this gross body. That subtle seed is the desire, which is the underlining thing. That is our own desire. So because of our own sum total of all the desires, that which manifest at the time of death, one gets the next body. He gets a kind of particular type of, he takes shelter under the particular type of father, who then gives the gross seed. Basically the subtle seed makes the way for the gross seed to happen. So there is a subtle seed which is our desire, and the gross seed which is the production of the gross body. So similarly, the entire cosmic manifestation, if we see, Krishna is the ultimate cause. Ishvara Parama Krishna, Satchidananda Vigraha, Anadir Adir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. So behind this also, behind this, there is a desire of Lord himself, and there also the subtle seed will be the desire itself. So in this particular way, because of various desires, the material world is continuing. So generally what happens, there are various types of material desires that are dormant, and sometimes it is getting manifested. So these type of desires that gets manifested, and based on the desires, to fulfill those desires, one gets various types of gross bodies, life after life, to fulfill these desires. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janane, jatare shayanam. So as long as the material desires are there, one goes through the cycle of repeated birth and death cycle. But however, if one, by the mercy of Vaishnava and the Supreme Lord, one takes to the path of bhakti, no, and somehow if these material desires become extinguished, then what happens? What remains is the pure spiritual desires. So with the pure spiritual desires, one doesn't have to take another material body. So, but rather he revives his spiritual body and then he goes back to Godhead, Vaikuntha Dhama or Goloka Vrindavana Dhama. So in this way it's explained, sometimes if the material desires might remain, it's just like, really it has to manifest in future. But Krishna, out of his kripa, mercy, he gets fulfilled in this particular life itself. So he wants the devotee to finish off this particular thing in the this particular life. So that's why Srila Prabhupada is explaining in the purport that why we see things not experienced in this life is explained herein. That which we see is the future expression of a gross body and is already stocked in our mental stockpile. Because a Krishna conscious person doesn't have to accept a future gross body, his recorded desires are fulfilled in a dream. We therefore sometimes find things in a dream never experienced in the present life. So what happens? Say suppose some bad karma has to happen, or some desires have to fulfilled. What happens? It comes in the dream, and in that way that particular karma or whatever the remaining things are there that are finished in this particular life itself. And just like you one the grace mark, one student has getting the 5 grace marks. In the similar way, the Lord is helping the devotee in all respects. So actually that's why uh, it is we have to be dependent on the mercy of the Lord, because the devotee need not get disheartened. Sometimes I am unable to control my senses, I'm struggling so much, it has become extremely difficult to control the senses. But Lord is very merciful, kripalu. So Hey Krishna, Karuna Sindho, Dina Bandho Jagatpate. So that one the devotee has put 100% effort sincerely, with all seriousness. Uh, then just like that grace mark, Krishna will push us back to Godhead, even though we may not be 100% pure, but we are somewhere close to it. So then Krishna may give that just like the grace mark, and he pushes us back to Godhead. So actually there are so many examples in the Shastra regarding that. In Sri Vaishnava story also we see like even if we see, I think Ramanujacharya or Yamunacharya, some past time there, it is mentioned some even if a devotee cannot remember Krishna at the time of death, but still that devotee goes back to Godhead. Uh, this is not like in the Bhagavad Gita, it is mentioned, Antakalecha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram. But this particular thing which the uh, devotee is going back, even though he cannot remember, it's not the you know it's not against the rule, what is explained in the Bhagavad Gita. It's in line, because whatever that Krishna is helping the devotee in case of emergency, or in some situation devotee cannot remember, that is his kripa, or the mercy of Lord. It doesn't mean that it is violation of the law. We should not think in that way, but it is additionally the kripa of the Lord on the devotee. He's being merciful to the devotee, and he's helping the devotee to go back to Godhead. So another thing we should be careful is, just because considering these things, we should not take it on the lighter side. However, even if I don't remember Krishna, I can go back, so I will relax. Not that way. Devotee in all aspects, he gives his 100% with all seriousness and all sincerity. He will be practicing Krishna consciousness. And ultimately, if the devotee is constantly engaged in the glorification of the Lord throughout his life, uh, or Krishna can understand some of the emergency situations. Maybe the devotee may leave the body when he is sleeping, or there might have some accident occurred, or some fire thing, or some kind of emergency. And because of this emergency situations, if the devotee is not able to remember Krishna, because of this, the devotee is not prevented from going back to Godhead if he is sincere, serious, and without ulterior motives. Because devotee is assured in all respects by the Supreme Personality of Godhead that he will be going to back to Godhead. That is because the devotee is in always constant remembrance of the Lord. And here also in the purport it's mentioned, devotee can see, sometimes, not in the due course of our ordinary this one, but in some cases the Lord may show some kripa on particular devotee, and the devotee can see the world in the particular way how the Lord sees the world. beyond space and beyond time, and on the completely different plane altogether. Uh, so because now currently what we are seeing, it is because of the our current material senses. We are seeing the vision, because the particular material creation that is within our realm, whatever is there, and it is always restricted by space and time, always. Okay. But Supreme Lord is not always restricted by space and time. The spiritual world is also beyond space and time. So Lord, Supreme Lord is also beyond space and time. So by the kripa of the Lord, sometimes devotee also can maybe able to see beyond space and time, because of the supreme will of the Lord. Let us take an example. For example, if we see Mahavishnu's vision, Mahavishnu is lying in the cosmic manifestation, the causal ocean. The Karanodaka ocean, Karana ocean, he's lying, and from his pores, millions of universes are coming out. And Mahavishnu can see each and every region of all the universes, and all the places inside the universes also. So that is his vision. For example, Mahavishnu can see currently where we are sitting, Bangalore, you know, even though he is lying in the Karana Ocean. That is so much powerful his vision is. Uh, that is because its visions are beyond space and time. So that is the greatness of the Lord, and it is so accurate and so powerful. Then that is the vision of the Mahavishnu. Now, what to speak of vision of Mahavishnu? Even the vision of demigods, they are much higher on the different planes altogether. Uh, for example, we cannot see what is going on in another planet, but demigods being on the higher planet, they can see lower planets. For example, demigods can see now that we are sitting and hearing Shrimad Bhagavatam. So, but now if we go to Swargaloka residents, they cannot see higher. They cannot, so for example, Indra cannot see what is going on in Maharloka or Janaloka. So, but Indra can see what's going on the down. So in that way, if we go to the Satyaloka, Brahma can see each and every planet on the particular universe. So, and it is said Brahma is sees the universe just like one. If I keep the walnut on my palm, and if I see it just like that, Brahma can see the entire universe. But still, the vision of Brahmaji is not perfect, because he also goes to sleep. His vision is also limited to this particular universe. In this way, his vision is also restricted. But somehow or other, by the mercy of Lord, if one gets the vision by which one can see beyond space and time, which actually generally it cannot be seen, but somehow by the mercy of Lord it can be seen. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is giving the example of Mother Yashoda. So how Mother Yashoda could see the universes within the mouth of Lord Sri Krishna. And also, sometimes we have heard the pastimes where Lord Brahma, he comes to see Krishna in Dwaraka. And in Dwaraka, he could see all Vishnus, all Shivas, all other Brahmas, and all other Indras. So this is by the kripa of the Lord. Brahma could see from other Brahmas from other different universes. Generally, one particular Brahma is restricted to one universe. But by the kripa of the Lord, he could see other universe, Brahma from other universes also. So that's why here it is the one particular in the shloka, particular word is mentioned. That word is Satvaika Nishte. Satvaika Nishte means in full Krishna consciousness. So if one is in full Krishna consciousness, then Krishna might bestow this vision of the universe where he can see beyond space and beyond time. So Maya eva mana adhatva mai buddhim nimeshaya nimashiyasi maya eva ata urdhvam na samshayaha. So one who is in full Krishna consciousness, he lives in Krishna. That means he lives in a different world altogether, other than his gross surroundings. Even though his gross body may be present here in the particular place, but since he is fully Krishna consciousness, he is sometimes beyond space and beyond time. He can go because Krishna is beyond space and beyond time, and this particular personality, a pure devotee, is always connected with Krishna. So that's by the mercy of Krishna, he can see, his vision can be beyond space and beyond time. Actually, that is because it's on the completely spiritual platform, and Krishna is also on the spiritual platform. So there are so many examples in the Shastra regarding this. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is mentioned how some one time the Krishna leaves the Ras Leela and goes away. And gopis, they in Vrindavan, they are searching for Krishna, and they could not find. Then they are in grief. And then what happens? They started enacting some pastimes, remembering Krishna. So they become so absorbed in these pastimes. They were living in the pastimes. For example, some gopi played the role of Krishna, and some gopi played the role of Putana. And they were completely absorbed in that particular pastime. And after some time, some other gopi became Krishna, enacted the role of Krishna, and some other became Bakasura, and some other time Arishtasura. That way they were enacting. But during that, they were completely absorbed, and they completely forgot the place, the Vrindavan, where they are currently present. And they were completely in so much absorbed in the past time, they were living in the past time. And someone, they were in the bank of Yamuna, Krishna is there. So they were literally thinking Krishna is present. So that is because that is beyond space and time. And in other pastimes, we know, like Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu one time goes to Madurai. And in Madurai, there is a particular Brahmana. And that Brahmana is a pure devotee of the Lord. He invites the Lord for prasadam. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu agrees that, okay, I will come to prasadam next day. And next day at noon, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu goes to that particular Brahmana's house. But that Brahmana, when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to the particular Brahmana's house, there is no symptom that something has been cooked for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There was no stove, which was burning, or there are no foodstuffs like the vegetables that are brought to prepare something. No, nothing was there. Any preparations for for prasadam for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went and saw this Brahmana was crying. Then he asked, what happened? Why you are not cooked? Then the Brahmana started telling, what can I do? I am living in the forest, and Lakshman has gone to collect some fruits and herbs, and he has not yet returned. After he returns, Sita will cook. Then prasadam will be ready. Like that, the Brahmana, he answered. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, instead of becoming, angry with that Brahmana, he becomes very happy with the Brahmana and he embraces. Mm. Because that he was completely absorbed so much into the pastime that he was literally living in the forest along with Lord Ram. Because that all the transcendental pastimes are beyond space and beyond time. So his gross body, Brahmana's gross body was in Madurai, but actually he was in the forest with the Lord Ram because his consciousness was totally in a different plane, different altogether, different dimensions altogether. So he was with the Lord Ram because we should not think the Brahmana is imagining about some pastime. Not that way, because actually he was living in the forest with Lord Ram, because Lord Ram's pastimes are eternally going on. That is eternal. All the pastimes are eternal, and they are because Lord Ram is supreme personality. So that pastimes are beyond space, beyond time. That do not, some. It's not limited by any of the external situations. So then what happened? Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu somehow pacified the Brahmana, and the Brahmana now is cooked something for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Bhoga, and he offered the prasadam. And at 3 p.m., 3 o'clock, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was taking prasadam, but he was taking alone. This Brahmana was not coming to take prasadam along with him. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked him, why don't you join me for prasadam? Then Brahmana started speaking. I am amazed why I am still living and my prana is still there in my body. That evil Ravana, how can he touch the mother Sita, who is the mother of the entire universe? How can it touch mother Sita? So I cannot tolerate this. So I am thinking, either I will go and drown in the water, or I will enter fire and I will give up my body. I cannot tolerate this. Then again, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu understood. So then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pacified that Brahman. That he told, you are very learned and you should understand that nobody can touch Mother Sita because Sita's form is completely spiritual. How can a materialistic person touch the transcendental form of Mother Sita? What to speak of touching her? They cannot even see the spiritual form of Mother Sita. So what Ravana has taken is Maya Sita, or the illusory, actually Maya Sita, illusory form of Sita. So he was thinking her to be Sita, but actually what happens? Agni Dev, he takes the Mother Sita to a place of Parvati, and Maya Sita goes with Ravana. So in this way, Brahmana's constant absorption, he was living in a different dimension and different plane of existence. So even though his gross body was present in the particular Madurai. So in this way, there are so many examples we can see. Even we see the pastimes of Srinivas Acharya. We know, how they can go to spiritual world. Even though they Siddha, the sadhana deha, he is in present material world. they go to spiritual world. And there is another pastimes of King Kulashekara. So King Kulashekara, we know he used to hear Ramayana every day. So one day what happens, he is hearing the Ramayana, and there is a story which comes that all attack Ram, Lakshman and Sita. And Lord Ram says to Lakshman, you take Sita to a safe place. I will fight with all these 14,000 Rakshasas. So Rama was alone in that particular verse that comes ekascha Ramaha. So then all 14,000 Rakshasas, they were killed in short time because Lord Ram was so swift like lightning. He was throwing the arrow in such a way that he could kill all the 14,000 Rakshasas. But when he heard that somebody attacked Lord Sri Ram, he was so much absorbed in the pastime. When he heard Ekascha Ramaha, then he thought, Rama is alone. Now with my army, I have to go to help Ram. Then he immediately tells his army that you all get ready and we have to march towards that Janasetu, where the Dandakaranya place where Lord Ram is alone. We have to go there. Like that he is mentioning, and he was ferociously moving towards Janasthan. Then these ministers, they don't know what to do. Then they make a plan that some of the soldiers will go along with Kulashekar, and another part of the soldiers, they should come from the opposite side, and they have to give the message that Ram has become victorious and he has killed all 14,000 Rakshasas. Like that they make a plan. And in this way the Kulashekar is marching ferociously towards Janasthan. And from the other side, the soldiers come and they confidently tell that Ram has become victorious and there is no necessity for King Kulashekar to go to Janasthan. So in this way, king became very pacified, and he comes to his external senses and to this particular world that we are living, which we call it as the reality. He returns to this particular reality and he goes back to his kingdom. So this was the thing that is happening every day, some or the other thing, and the Kulashekar is so absorbed and he was enacting different pastimes. And also this Ramayana reader who was reading Ramayana to King Kulashekara, he also understood the bhava of the king. So that's why he used to skip the sad part of Ramayana, and he used to only read the uh, happier part of it, so that the king is enacting all those pastimes, and then there is like a festival each day in the kingdom, and there is a feast going on. There is happier moments with the celebrations, and all are going on every day. So one day what happens, this reader he has to go somewhere else, and this reader's son comes to read Ramayana, and this son, he doesn't know the bhava of King Kulashekar. So then that son started reading Ramayana, and he is explaining how Ravana is about to kidnap Mother Sita. When Kulashekar, he heard this pastime, he became very ferocious. How Ravana can kidnap Sita? So he immediately gathered his weapon, marching towards Lanka, and he went on, and he reached the sea, and in the sea he's going inside with the weapon. He's going towards Lanka, and he's almost drowned till his neck. But there was a deity, particular deity of Sita Ram, which he was worshipping. Then Lord Ram thought, I should intervene now, because I should protect my devotee. Then what happens? The particular deity, they come from the Ram with Sita. They started coming from the other side, uh, and as if they are coming from Lanka, Lord Ram and Sita, they came, and King Kulashekar could see Lord Ram and Sita. Then Lord Ram said, Kulashekar, I have killed Ravana, and I have brought Mother Sita now. Hmm. So you don't have to go to Lanka. You can return to your kingdom. So in this way, Kulashekar could see the form of Lord Ram and Sita, and then he comes to his external senses and he goes back. But this only Kulashekar knew he could see the form of Lord Ram and Sita. So the ministers were thinking somehow king came to external senses and he went back to kingdom. So in this way, absorption, the consciousness, the because of the absorption and the consciousness, one lives in the totally different world. We know some pastimes where one of the brahmana touching the kheer, or some in the on the mental, he's touching the kheer and his hand gets burned. So many pastimes are there. So because they are so absorbed, and their consciousness is totally on the transcendental platform. It's on the spiritual plane altogether. So by the mercy of the Lord, they see the world in a different way, different vision they have, beyond space and beyond time. They don't see the world as the ordinary person is seeing the world. So in the spiritual world, also, if we can see, there are different unlimited jivatmas in the spiritual world, in Vaikunta and all the spiritual planets. If they wish, they can see what is happening here in this particular loka. That is because that vision is there for the the perfected beings or the pure devotees. They have the spiritual vision. And the spiritual vision is perfect because they are always with Krishna. And they can see everything that is happening within the material world. So our goal should be to have this kind of absorption, like how King Kulashekar had the absorption, how the Brahmana, they were absorbed, so much absorbed in the pastimes, how the gopis were so much absorbed in the pastimes. So Vasudeva Katharuchi. So we are doing Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, and we have to get this Katharuchi. So we should become so much absorbed in Krishna consciousness that after this life, only also we have, by the mercy of Lord, we also get that particular vision by the mercy of Hari Guru Vaishnava, especially by the mercy of Gauranga Nityananda, because they are the one who are ready to give the grace marks. And in this way, we should be absorbed in Krishna consciousness, that we will be able to go back to Godhead. Forever to live with Krishna, and we have to try it in this particular lifetime only. We should try to go back to Godhead. So consciousness and absorption in Krishna Katha is very important. We have to develop the absorption in Krishna Katha and Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you very much. Is there any questions, comments, or any suggestions?
Yeah, thank you, Broji, for the wonderful explanation of how our desires are the reflecting surface, and also explaining wonderfully the perfect vision through the nectarian pastimes of Chaitanya Leela and Ramayana. Devotees can unmute themselves to share any reflections, or if they have any questions, please ask Broji.
Hare Krishna, Madhava Sharan Prabhu.
Hare
Wonderful,
Krishna, Prabhu.
wonderful
Prabhu.
nectar. How nicely you connected Ram Katha to this. So nice, Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Madhava Sharan Prabhu, Dandot Pranam. Actually, this
Hare
specific
Krishna.
purport from Srila Prabhupada is so assuring and motivating us because, across different purports and by practice of Srila Prabhupada, the standard set by him is so high. So many times, it gives a sense of desperation that we are nowhere nearby that standard. But here and there, Prabhupada gives a ray of hope. We call it, right, at the end of the tunnel there will be a light. So Prabhupada gives a ray of hope here and there by sprinkling his mercy through the purport. So it's so inspiring.
Yes.
So I have one question, Prabhuji. So here Srila Prabhupada says that the desires, right, for a devotee who is practicing sincerely, the
Yes.
unfulfilled desires will be actually by Krishna's mercy,
Yes.
that will be accomplished through the dreams, right, Prabhuji?
Yes.
So
Yes.
the devotees that Prabhupada is referring to, is it applicable for the practicing devotees, or is it, because for pure devotees it doesn't apply because they don't have any material desire apart from spiritual desires.
Yes.
So I interpret this as a practicing devotees. Is that right
Yes.
understanding, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhu. Right. This is for the practicing devotees and also who has reached almost like the perfectional stage. But sometimes what happens, one has reached 80%, 90% at the, and almost his life is getting over. Um, uh, that is the one situation. And in other situations also, when one is practicing Krishna consciousness, many a times we might also have experienced many of the things in our dreams also. I heard in one lecture stating on that devotee, senior devotee, he was mentioning that many of our um, karmas which has to happen very dangerously might happen in the dream, and Krishna removes those karmas. For example, one has to undergo severe accident, and that dream can come and that particular karma is burnt away. That is why here in the uh, uh, purport here Srila Prabhupada is mentioning karmani nirdahati kintucha bhakti bhajam. So karmani actually for pure devotees definitely they don't have any karma. So it is for the practicing devotees on practicing devotees only, sadhaka sadhana bhaktas. So this is mercy of the Lord. It's like we have avidya, then kutam bijam, all those things, and by the powerful process of bhakti yoga, this bijam, kutam, everything is wiped off. So basically, that shloka is also there where Iharam, that Bhaskara, that how the Surya, the fog is there, and the fog is compared to the Kama, and the Surya when is appeared, so the fog automatically gets it's gone. So similarly, when Krishna Surya Sama Maya Haya Andakar, Jahan Krishna Taha Nahi Maya Radhikar. So when one is becoming more and more Krishna conscious, all these karma bija, kama bija, karma bija, they are wiped away. And basically, another point is if something is left even at the point of death, many of the things Krishna removes it through the dreams. He removes it so that if the devotee is practicing sincerely, seriously, without ulterior motive, then just like the grace mask is given to particular student, just like Krishna will uh, promote that devotee to the back to Godhead. That's what the even assurance is given by Srila Prabhupada. So we know that incident where Srila Prabhupada is giving some some hopes for the devotees. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I hope I answered question.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Sankarshan Prabhu. Just a lighter note comment. Srila Prabhupada's movement, light is not the end of the tunnel. The beginning of the tunnel itself, right?
Yes, Prabhuji.
As soon as enter,
That is, Gauranga Mahaprabhu's special mercy. Nityananda Gauranga, Parama Koruna Pahudujana, Nitai Gaurachandra. So,
Srila Prabhupada's devotee's life is taken care.
yes. So Srila Prabhupada told, I have backdoor key for Goloka Dham. So that is because, and its verse connects to this also, because, even the Lord is very compassionate, and through Lord's mercy comes through pure devotees like Srila Prabhupada. So always that way. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Wonderful class, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
And you have given so many hints, and that makes us okay. We can go back to Godhead. So many nice points you said, like all the unfulfilled desires will be removed, and Prabhupada has got the backdoor key, and all the so many good things you told. So that gives us the hope that we can go back to Godhead. Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Madhava. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Is there any other questions or comments? Hare Krishna. Yes, Sankarshan Priya Prabhu, you want to tell something?
Yeah, it's just an announcement. We want to do a quick poll. Hare Krishna devotees, Dandavat Pranam. There is a suggestion considering most of the devotees have gone back to the regular work style. So there is a suggestion to see whether we can change the Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya class timing to 7:15 a.m. instead of 8 a.m. because I hear feedback from many devotees, including the speakers, that 8 a.m. is the time when they actually get ready or go to office or on the way to office. So they suggested that can we not change it to the original timing of 7:15 a.m. So among the devotees here, we just want to do a quick poll to see whether 7:15 would be convenient to all of you. Sri Bhagavat Prabhu, can you start the poll? I think I don't have the permission to start the poll.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Yeah, that's the background. Because the speakers, many of them have expressed, and also some senior devotees have expressed this wish, whether it could be moved to 7:15 a.m. So by 8:10 or 8:15, we will be finishing the classes, and they can go back to, they can be on the way to office. You can stop the recording.